Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 71 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Luo Feng was contemplating the materials for the 24 Forms life form, and he could also sense Morosa's cultivation progress at any time. Morosa is digesting very slowly this time, Luo Feng noticed. It took Morosa more than 100 days to absorb the blood, and only then did he start to consume the muscles, very carefully and meticulously. After more than 1,000 days, he had devoured all the bones to exhaustion. After consuming all the fragments, Morosa opened his huge bloody mouth and directly swallowed the several billion kilometers long tail into his domain. With this gulp, Morosa began his transformation. He reverted to his true form, his body surfaced with snow-white scale armor, and his entire body started to radiate a holy light, as if it was meant to cleanse everything. This formless aura made even Luo Feng's heart tremble. Did Morosa just naturally evolve his physical body right after breaking through to the second realm of the godly king? Luo Feng silently marveled. For cultivators, even if they broke through in their realm, they still needed to comprehend the corresponding secret techniques. Just like how he himself must comprehend the 24 forms and obtain the 24 forms materials and combine them with the formless and intangible ability to finally transform the physical body. But sector beasts, being perfect life forms from birth, had a perfect trajectory of growth, heading straight for the ultimate. Laws of the physical body? Laws of domain? Laws of assassination? All sorts of secret techniques are naturally understood as they grow to the corresponding levels. After he completely digests his food, I must compare our strengths. Luo Feng was quite looking forward to it. HM? Xin Yu, this little fellow, has also broken through. Luo Feng realized that his second disciple, Xin Yu, had finally broken through to the primal chaos realm. Blade River Sect, the main hall of the sect headquarters. All of Luo Feng's registered disciples had already arrived in the hall. As a sect established by the overlord of the Land of Origin, the Blade River Sect was relatively new, having been established only for just over a century. The only ones qualified to enter the main hall of the sect were Luo Feng's direct disciples, registered disciples, and 2 elders. Brother Xin Yu is truly amazing. This time in closed-door cultivation, he directly advanced to the primal chaos realm. He's the first in our Blade River sect to break through to the primal chaos realm since its establishment. The registered disciples were both envious and hopeful, also looking forward to the day they would break through. Suddenly, Moyu Qingyang, dressed in a cyan robe, walked in. Big senior brother. Big senior brother. Each of these registered disciples respectfully greeted him, as the big senior brother was after all the first disciple under their master. And he was also the disciple of Elder Luosa, holding an indisputable status within the sect. Moyu Qingyang nodded with a smile and briefly chatted with his junior brothers and sisters. Big senior brother can still smile. This time, Brother Xin Yu has become a primal chaos realm being, soon to be an elder, on par with Elder Luosa in status. Cultivators, ultimately it's about personal strength. Big senior brother is still lacking somewhat. These registered disciples were outwardly enthusiastic and respectful, but they also knew some of the internal dynamics of the sect, and naturally, they were more convinced by Brother Xin Yu. Soon, Brother Xin Yu, dressed in blue robes, walked in. His knife had completely disappeared, but as a being of the primal chaos realm, his life level was naturally much stronger. Brother Xin Yu. Brother Xin Yu. The registered disciples were even more sincere and respectful. Second junior brother. Moyu Qingyang also looked at his junior brother with a smile, quite emotional. He had tried very hard. Yet, he couldn't reach the primal chaos realm through the bloodline path, while his second junior brother was an unlimited godly body on the law path and had already reached the primal chaos realm. Their talents were too far apart. Xin Yu also looked towards Moyu Qingyang, politely saying, Big senior brother. Second junior brother, your breakthrough is a joyous occasion for the whole Blade River sect, Moyu Qingyang said. You're the first primal chaos realm being nurtured by our sect since its establishment. Xin Yu smiled and replied, in the future, the Blade River sect will see many more primal Chaos Realm beings emerge. I'm merely going ahead temporarily, it's nothing special. And with big senior brothers accumulations, I believe it won't be long before you reach the primal Chaos Realm. I'm still far off, Moyu Qingyang chuckled self-deprecatingly. The two direct disciples conversed while the registered disciples listened on. Suddenly, an intangible aura enveloped the area. HM? Moyu Qingyang, Xin Yu, and the 10 registered disciples all looked up towards the main hall above, where Luo He in a silver robe was seated on the throne, and to his left was the former elder. Master. Moyu Qingyang and Xin Yu, the two direct disciples, immediately bowed respectfully. Master. The registered disciples followed suit. These disciples had all gone through hardships to join the Blade River sect. They were well aware that throughout the land of origin there were ancient and terrifying beings, and among the many neighboring nations, the monarchs of Sha Kingdom and Yu Kingdom, as well as City Lord Luo He, were prominent figures. To be disciples of City Lord Luo He was definitely clinging to a powerful support. Luo Sa is in closed-door cultivation and couldn't come. Luo Feng looked down and smiled. Xin Yu, you have achieved the primal chaos realm in such short time, which shows your exceptional talent. From today onwards, you will also become an elder of our Blade River sect. Yes, Xin Yu responded. Luo Feng waved his hand. Immediately, a complete set of Chaos Realm Supreme Grade weapon secret treasures flew out, along with a green and a black jade vial. Grant a set of secret treasures, 100 billion cosmic sand, and 10 treasures to assist in cultivation, Luo Feng said indifferently. Xin Yu looked at the treasures flying towards him. He could feel that each weapon secret treasure was terrifying, each likely a supreme item among the primal Chaos Realm treasures, a complete set probably worth 200 to 300 billion cosmic sand. And the 10 treasures assisting in cultivation, those were rare treasures hard to acquire in the outside world. Yet, the 100 billion cosmic sand was the most common among them. Thank you, Master, Xin Yu felt at this moment, appreciating the advantages of having a terrifying overlord as a master, casually granting what would take him eons to accumulate on his own. The other disciples also watched with envy. The master, truly generous. Luo Feng, however, did not think it was much. In many border countries, joining the primal chaos realm could grant one a primal chaos prefecture as a fiefdom. A fiefdom was worth more than what Luo Feng had given. Of course, the primal chaos prefecture fiefdom was by slowly accruing minor benefits over time and was a way to completely bind a cultivator of the primal chaos realm. Once they left, they had to return the fief. What Luo Feng granted was outright. Moreover, as the disciple grew and established merits, more would be granted. This was why cultivators were eager to have superpowerful individuals as their masters. As Luo Feng grows stronger, these treasures will seem trivial to him. Yuan, who was watching by the side, was also a beneficiary. Primordial crystal spirit fruit, and even treasures from sacred places that suited cultivation in the primal chaos realm, Luo Feng had given plenty to Yuan. For Yuan, Luo Feng provided wholeheartedly. Because he was the second pillar of the human race. For Xin Yu, Luo Feng just treated him as he normally would a direct disciple. Naturally, there was a difference in the resources provided to both sides. And Yuan's talent, Luo Feng could feel it was much more formidable than Xin Yu's, already possessing the strength matching that of a guest official of the Primal Chaos Realm, pinnacle of Primal Chaos Realm strength. Yuan, drawing from some inheritances in the Flame-Wind Ancient Country's Inheritance Palace, forged his own path. His true body and illusionary avatar now bore no distinction, each manifesting identical strength. But forging a path was exceptionally difficult. Yuan, not following the orthodox origin Tao of the world, instead merged illusion and reality. The illusionary path was his own creation, while the real path was the origin Tao of the world. Only by merging the two could illusion and reality integrate. Forge a path is quite challenging. Luo Feng glanced at Yuan beside him. He himself had opened up the great Tao of life and death and had yet to fathom any branch of the great Tao. Inside the Star Tower. After nearly half a century of devouring and absorbing, Morosa had assimilated all essentials from the primordial bloodline creature corpse and had stopped cultivating. How do you feel, Morosa? Luo Feng looked at Morosa, who stood before him in his true form, draped in snow-white scale armor, with even the top scales naturally forming a crown-like shape. Morosa stood there, a holy light naturally illuminating everywhere, his formless majesty terrifyingly extreme. "I feel great," Morosa looked at Luo Feng. "I feel stronger than even you, master." "Ha ha." Luo Feng laughed. "It seems you want a beating. Master, just try. I don't believe you can still beat me." Morosa felt an unprecedented strength, the evolution of his physical body and the natural growth of his soul, combined with the great Tao of destruction origin, made his spiritual will also grow continuously, reaching the bottleneck of a godly king's limit. In every aspect, Morosa felt fearless. "Let's give it a try then," Luo Feng said, and a silver-clad Luo Feng appeared beside him. Boom! The silver-clad Luo Feng transformed into a dazzling silver blade light, flashing towards Morosa. Morosa stood there, bathed in holy light which illuminated everything around him. As the silver blade light approached, it slowed down. When it was about a dozen feet away from Morosa, the silver blade light completely stopped. "Master, your avatar can't even touch me," Morosa said with a smile. "I'm not like the flawed second realm godly kings of Shi Kingdom. I don't have any weaknesses. Domain, energy, physical body, close combat, my avatar, I can't break through my domain." Morosa looked at Luo Feng. "Interesting," Luo Feng watched Morosa. "Then I'll give it my all and see." Thunderous roars tilde 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 tilde. Suddenly, a huge figure descended from another layer of the Star Tower space. It was the immensely majestic silver-clad Luo Feng. This tremendously majestic silver-clad Luo Feng, whose aura was no less strong than Morosa's, held in his hand a gigantic blood shadow knife. "Now this is interesting," Morosa observed the majestic giant silver-clad Luo Feng, grinning broadly. "Come on, I'll let you make 3 moves first." Feeling incredibly confident, Morosa, having absorbed a primordial bloodline creature, had greatly grown. He had naturally realized many secret techniques of the second realm of the godly king. He felt that any move he made could handle his master. "You are letting me make 3 moves." Luo Feng's body was 1/3 of a world life form. Controlling such a body was a substantial burden on Luo Feng's spiritual will. However, just by triggering the moves ingrained in the blood shadow knife, it was still possible for Luo Feng, and this was also his strongest state without using the Star Tower. Morosa looked at Luo Feng leisurely, standing there and letting Luo Feng make his moves. Boom! Luo Feng struck with his knife, and the blade light shone brilliantly, dazzling Morosa. An incredibly dazzling strike. It gathered all the might of Luo Feng as a vast world life form and then unleashed it all at once. This explosive force cascaded forth magnificently, reminiscent of the crushing stars of the Lai Yuan technique. By the time Morosa sensed this, he was already hit. First, an intangible force infiltrated and eroded Morosa's body. By the time he realized he had been struck, that overwhelming force was already upon him, inevitable, rolling over Morosa's body, his body being eroded, sliced, minced, crushed, and obliterated. Various destructive forces merged, annihilating this body. The Master is indeed the Master, able to unleash such formidable might even at the first realm of the godly king, truly terrifying. Morosa, with 99% of his body crushed, still had invisible energies regathering, his blurry figure speaking, "But Master, I am a sector beast. Do you think it's easy to kill me with moves from the great Tao of destruction origin?" In the blink of an eye, Morosa had fully recovered, the holy light shining brightly all around him, unscathed. 2 moves left, Morosa smiled at Luo Feng. "Continue." Luo Feng was somewhat surprised looking at Morosa. The prowess of 1/3 of a world life form only required a small amount of spiritual power to trigger the blood shadow knife techniques. In terms of sheer power, it was already 50 to 60% of Emperor Gui's shoes. Of course, the techniques fell far short of Emperor Gui's shoes, who, like Wuxin God King, had comprehended ultimate realm secret techniques. "Truly worthy of being a sector beast," Luo Feng remarked, before striking with his knife again. Swoosh! Blade light carved a scar through heaven and earth. In an instant, a new scar appeared in the world, which also pierced through Morosa's body. Though Morosa's body was healing, it was hindered by the scar of heaven and earth. This move is weaker in might than the last, but it seems to sever everything. Morosa felt the surprise and asked, "Master, what do you call this technique?" "It's a special grade inheritance I studied which contains a secret technique quite powerful even at the second realm of Godly King, named Unity. Luo Feng did not hide it from Morosa. This Unity secret technique can be divided into 3 realms: Foundation, 6 Paths, and Unity. I am currently at the level of 6 Paths, proficient in 6 different techniques." Morosa admired. "Master's secret technique is very powerful. It should possess 30 to 40% of the power of my technique." Luo Feng's expression darkened. "What a tough guy." The third move. Luo Feng's expression darkened, and he merged as one with the blood shadow knife in his hand. Boom! A rainbow light flashed. That same rainbow light had already entered Morosa's body, and once inside, it explosively detonated. An immensely tumultuous force violently surged in all directions, devastating the insides of Morosa. "Master, are you playing with self-destruction?" Morosa felt the wild and terrifying force within his body but showed a hint of confidence in his eyes. His body rapidly expanded under the blast, like a supersized balloon. Yet, his body withstood the frightening explosion. Whoosh! The rainbow light in Morosa's body flashed and had already escaped to the outside world. It was Luo Feng holding the blood shadow knife. "This is not self-destruction," Luo Feng, holding the blood shadow knife, said. "This avatar of mine has only burnt 1/10 of its power. Direct self-destruction was too inefficient. This was an explosive technique from the Unity secret method. The more body burned, the stronger the power." Of course, Luo Feng burning such a vast amount of energy was already the limit of what he could bear when wielding this technique. "Just 1/10 inflicted injuries on me. If it were a full explosion, indeed it could cause me to lose 30 to 40% of my strength." Morosa looked at Luo Feng and reflected, "Master, being in the first realm of Godly King, you are indeed a bit too strong." Luo Feng was somewhat speechless. That last move had been his strongest. This Morosa was already much stronger than himself. "My strongest suit is not killing the enemy." Luo Feng looked at Morosa. "Come on then, it's your turn to make a move. Go ahead. If you can, destroy this world life form avatar of mine." "Good." The real Morosa looked at Luo Feng, his whole body's light erupting suddenly. Boom! In an instant, this level of Star Tower space was engulfed in a vast whiteness. The entire space seemed to be cleansed, and Luo Feng was naturally eroded by this light. Such potent erosive power. Luo Feng stood still, his massive body showing ragged wounds, yet they were also continually healing. Luo Feng looked up and surveyed the surroundings, his skin already tattered. "I can no longer find him by realm alone," Luo Feng silently lamented. As the master of Star Tower, he could control everything within Star Tower at any time. And he was also Morosa's master, so he was very clear about Morosa's current state. Morosa. At this moment, he had fused with heaven and earth. This layer of Star Tower space had become Morosa. "Master, be careful." A terrifying force approached, as if the entire space was being flattened, also compressing Luo Feng's body, but even when flattened into a silvery river. Luo Feng's world life form remained intact. Destruction. There was also an invisible attack, suddenly striking at every life structure of Luo Feng's life form. But these invisible attacks were relatively weak. Each life structure of Luo Feng was like a small world, capable of defending against them. Morosa consecutively executed 30 different techniques, but to no avail against Luo Feng's avatar, which held the energy reserves of 1/3 of a world life form. Even an emperor personally acting would need several techniques to clean it completely. Master's world life form has too strong a recovery ability. Morosa stopped. "The rate at which I'm depleting it can't keep up with Master's recovery speed." "You're very impressive already." The vast silvery river condensed into Luo Feng in silver attire. "Your current strength, among the second realm of Godly Kings, can already be considered pinnacle level. On par with Emperor Guishu and Wuxin God King. Having ventured into treasured lands with the members of Reincarnation Tower many times, Luo Feng had seen much and was naturally able to judge Morosa's strength level. Peak of second level of God King realm?" Morosa pondered. "In terms of the complexity of moves, you're still quite behind Emperor Guishu and Wuxin God King," Luo Feng said, but you're more well-rounded. And the explosive power of a perfect life form is certainly high enough. In the realm of cultivation, he was inferior. But Morosa's foundations were too deep. Without a single weak point? Still too weak, Morosa shook his head. I've heard that even at the peak of the second realm of Godly King, facing emperors or monarchs, there'd be no chance of resistance, at most just enough time to reincarnate. Both emperors and monarchs are, after all, ultimate realm life forms. And as rulers of two major ancient countries, they possess powerful secret treasure weapons, strong enough to rival pinnacle sector beasts, Luo Feng explained. At the level of Emperor Guishu and the others, when facing emperors or monarchs, indeed their only option would be reincarnation. Even among those at the peak of the second realm of Godly King, the few who could escape from emperors or monarchs were Wuxin God King, the boat master of the time-space Lonely Boat, and a few others whose escaping abilities were at an inconceivable level. Even my world life form, Luo Feng said, the damage you inflict to me can't keep up with my own rate of recovery. But facing emperors or monarchs, a few more moves, and they could completely annihilate my body. Even if you strike 100 times. With the speed of an emperor, 100 strikes could happen in the blink of an eye. It wouldn't take so many moves, Morosa looked at Luo Feng. If they can rival a pinnacle sector beast, they should be capable of breaking the braided cage. They could directly banish you from the source world, throwing you outside the braided cage. Without the ability to return. I'm afraid, in an instant, world life form would be annihilated in the primordial space. Luo Feng was startled. Banished from the source world? Do you now know about the power of pinnacle sector beasts? Luo Feng asked. Yes, Morosa nodded. The power of a pinnacle sector beast is much greater than mine right now. And their moves are far more terrifying. I suspect that even the use of secret treasure weapons by emperors and monarchs of the two great ancient countries can only match a sector beast. But they wouldn't be able to stop its destroyer. Not able to stop it? Luo Feng was puzzled. It's just that their strengths are comparable. Like me, sector beasts can have many avatars, Morosa said. At the same level of existence, even 3 or 5 would not be able to stop it from destroying. Luo Feng pondered. Sector beasts, being perfect life forms, grasp the complete great Tao of destruction origin. And they have numerous avatars. An intimidating thought. It must be the ancestors of both countries and the ancestor of the East Extreme Domain, and also the Emperor Qing, who is beyond God King, Morosa speculated. The ones a pinnacle sector beast truly fears must be them. But those ancestors won't easily make a move. As you've said, their attack power has a God King ultimate realm limit, and their realms are exceedingly high, Morosa said. As long as they can't instantly wipe out all the avatars of a sector beast, the sector beast's counterattack would also cause severe damage to both ancient countries. By now, Morosa had a vague sense of the direction of many high-level moves and was very aware of how frightening his future could be. If pinnacle sector beasts had no resistance, I'm sure they would have been overpowered and imprisoned long ago, Luo Feng agreed. Morosa, Luo Feng asked, how much primordial bloodline biological material like this time would you need to consume to reach the ultimate realm? I haven't even reached the limit of the second realm of Godly King myself, Morosa said. To become ultimate realm? I reckon it would take another 20 or 30 portions of similar food. 20 or 30 portions. Luo Feng felt a great pressure upon hearing that. That's equivalent to 2 or 3 whole primordial bloodline creature corpses. Each comparable to the previous food. To think, one entire corpse could be refined into 3 to 5 shares of primordial bloodline. The value was astronomical. If I slowly absorb the power of heaven and earth, there's also hope of reaching the ultimate realm. It would just take a very long time, Morosa looked at his master. Lesser quality food would do too, but the quantity needed would be much greater. No rush, Luo Feng waved his hand. I'll wait until my own power is stronger. Master, I have good news, Morosa looked at his master. Good news. Luo Feng looked at him quizzically. Now that I have reached the second realm of Godly King, I can fully mobilize the pathway of the great Tao of destruction origin within my body, Morosa smiled slightly, and suddenly the vast and complete Great Tao of Destruction origin appeared in this level of the Star Tower's space. Luo Feng watched with joy. A complete Great Tao of Destruction origin? The two ancient countries had a way for guest elders to observe the complete origin Great Tao, needing 800,000 merit points for one era, and the longer the observation time, the better. For example, the Great Tao of Life origin, Luo Feng had observed for more than 200 eras. The higher one's realm, the more new gains one could make in observing the Great Tao. Although Luo Feng himself had many treasures, the merit points he had earned in the Flame-Wind ancient country were not enough, not even enough to exchange for one era. Morosa can mobilize a complete Great Tao within his body. Does this mean I can observe it permanently? Luo Feng was extremely excited. Luo Feng looked up. The complete Great Tao displayed by Morosa? At first glance, Luo Feng saw a colossal being with 6 curled horns seated cross-legged, the 6 horns faintly signifying the 6 directions of the path of destruction. In a moment of distraction, the complete Great Tao of Destruction origin transformed into a dark red terrifying monster, its gaping maw as if to swallow everything whole. Various appearances manifested in Luo Feng's observation. He understood that following any one of these forms, he could forge a path. And all paths ultimately led to the same goal, the complete path of destruction. Master, my true body here is maintaining the Great Tao of Destruction origin. Should I send an avatar out? Morosa couldn't help but speak up. Go ahead, Luo Feng waved his hand. Immediately a simple-looking Morosa avatar, with Luo Feng's permission, quietly left the Star Tower to delightfully enjoy life outside. At the entrance to the sacred land, Tianhe, one could see an illusory river. However, if one truly flew into it, they would find that this river was infinitely vast. The depths of Tianhe, too, had no end. Whoosh 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 tilde tilde tilde. Deep in Tianhe, there was a flying boat. Inside the boat, a figure covered in hair sat cross-legged, naturally absorbing the water of Tianhe into his body, nourishing his primordial bloodline. Emperor Qian Kuan and the others really are persistent, still blocking me around the perimeter, Yu Shui country master scoffed, but they don't have the guts to come deep into Tianhe. On Emperor Qian Kuan's side, there were 6 formidable beings, who were not only searching for Tianhe treasures and cultivating in Tianhe, but also blocking off key areas. Yu Shui country master was also very patient. It wouldn't matter if it was over 100 eras, or even 1,000, Yu Shui country master had the patience to wait it out. Just keep enduring. If I can advance further and comprehend the ultimate realm secret technique from the primordial bloodline, then I'll be able to take on all 6 of them by myself. Yu Shui country master looked forward to making further progress. But they all knew how difficult it was to make such progress, as not even eons of time had allowed them to advance further. How difficult it was to break through. Brother Yu Shui, Land Duo Monarch from Thunder Ancient Country has entered Tianhe. Run away. Suddenly, a message came through. Yu Shui country master received the message and his heart trembled. This is bad. In an instant, Yu Shui country master packed up the flying boat and without any hesitation, dove deeper into Tianhe. Rumble 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 tilde tilde tilde, the deeper areas of Tianhe were fraught with peril, filled with lurking terror, but at this moment, Yu Shui country master fearlessly burrowed deeper. Suddenly, he spotted an underwater mountain range. Yu Shui country master immediately wanted to approach it, but as he got closer, invisible fluctuations began eroding his body, causing it to rapidly disintegrate. Go? Yu Shui country master tossed the God King grade secret treasure flying boat he held. This secret treasure, which contained all his gains from Tianhe over the long eons, resisted the mountain range's fluctuations and proved to be much tougher than Yu Shui country master's body, ultimately landing within the mountain range. Whoosh! Yu Shui country master immediately turned to flee in another direction. He fled frantically, but after merely flying for a dozen or so breaths, he sensed a terrifying power had already locked onto him from afar. Land Duo Monarch, Yu Shui country master looked up, this terrifying power locking onto him, and he also saw the source of that power, a towering figure clad in water-blue robes. His entire body was covered with blue and white scales, 3 scaled tails, his appearance sacred, his gaze cold and indifferent as he looked directly at Yu Shui country master. Through causality, he easily locked onto Yu Shui Country Master. Even though they were separated by an immense distance, being within the same range of Qianhe allowed Lan Duo Monarch to cast a glance, bringing an endless majesty down upon him. Whoosh! Yu Shui Country Master's body was tough and full of vitality, constantly absorbing the water of Qianhe to sustain himself, but under the overwhelming majesty, he was already half destroyed in less than a breath's time, and in less than a breath's time, Yu Shui Country Master's body was completely annihilated. All the treasures hidden away. Lan Duo Monarch took a glance, then immediately continued hunting other targets. Qianhe seemed vast, but the actual safe areas were quite limited. Lan Duo Monarch, very familiar with these areas, patrolled them one by one, wanting to scout almost all of the major safe zones within Qianhe. Monarch. Greetings to Lan Duo Monarch. Within Qianhe, the ancient godly kings, especially the independent ones and the guest elders from Flame Wind Ancient Country, were extremely respectful upon sensing this monarch's power. The royal family godly kings from both great ancient countries were not implicated, and the guest elder godly kings from Thunder Ancient Country were spared as well. As for the others? Any other godly kings that this Lan Duo Monarch found, he exterminated without exception. It's Lan Duo Monarch from Thunder Ancient Country. Emperor Qiankuan received the news, and he and his companions were so frightened that they frantically dove deeper into Qianhe. Emperor Qiankuan was a guest elder of Flame Wind Ancient Country. Lan Duo Monarch would not spare him either. In just a short moment, Lan Duo Monarch patrolled near where Emperor Qiankuan was, and his intangible domain had already locked onto Emperor Qiankuan. It's over. Knowing that the terrifying power had locked onto him, Emperor Qiankuan realized it was over. He even knew that begging for mercy would be futile. Emperor Qiankuan's body was also annihilated. Within Qianhe, the bodies of over 90% of the ancient godly kings, mainly the solitary ones and the guest elders from Flame Wind Ancient Country, were destroyed under Lan Duo Monarch's patrolling. Only a handful managed to escape, either due to their impressive escaping abilities or by leveraging the environment of Qianhe. In this patrol by Lan Duo Monarch within Qianhe, both Yu Shui Country Master and Emperor Qiankuan truly died. Of Emperor Qiankuan's 5 companions, 4 also perished, with only 1 luckily evading death. Asterisk 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 asterisk. Huyang City. What? Luofeng also received the news. No help for it, just bad luck to run into Lan Duo Monarch from Thunder Ancient Country. Yu Shui Country Master transmitted. Luofeng had never ventured to Qianhe. I've heard that the environment in Qianhe greatly assists those of the water origin bloodline, but repels other great Dao forces. The only ones from the 2 ancient countries with the water origin bloodline are Emperor Xian and Lan Duo Monarch, I presume. Right, it's those 2. They have accumulated a profound foundation and rarely come to Qianhe now, Yu Shui Country Master sighed, but once they do visit, they will patrol the area. Aside from the imperial clan of the 2 ancient countries and guest elders of our own country, all others will be eliminated without exception. Luofeng nodded. The environment in Qianhe is indeed not easy to hide in. Like the dream domain, which has a vast amount of space, and each space exists independently. One can only be discovered if in the same space. Naturally, the safety there is much higher. Like infinite space, where one must carve out their own great Tao, even when emperors enter, they also possess the same physical bodies and their strength is significantly weakened. This makes it much safer for the scattered cultivators. There are many treasured places that offer some protection to the weak. It's just that the protection varies in strength, and the disadvantage of Qianhe is that the safe areas are easily discovered, while the danger zones deep within are difficult to enter. Fortune and disaster are interdependent, Yu Shui Country Master transmitted. Qianhe is a treasure land for us, and there aren't many crises normally. The dangers of Qianhe actually come from other cultivators. Encountering an emperor or monarch can only be chalked up to bad luck. Is there anything I can help you with? Luofeng asked. No need, the Emperor of Qiankuan also lost his true body this time, Yu Shui Country Master replied with a chuckle through a voice transmission. He doesn't have the guts to come back and cause trouble either. I can sense that, of my 6 enemies, 5 have had their true bodies destroyed. Everyone had suffered massive losses, so Yu Shui country master felt more at ease. Luo Feng inwardly sighed. Just one Monarch's patrol was sufficient to sweep through everything in their path. And the Flame Wind ancient country had 13 emperors, while Thunder ancient country had 9 monarchs. On the side of the scattered cultivators, those in the ultimate realm included the Lord of 10,000 Realms and the Sector Beast, and only a few like the Wind City Empress and Mother River Master were able to match the level of emperors. Over half of these beings were on good terms with the 2 ancient countries. Although there were many scattered cultivators, their top-level fighting power was too inferior. And this was without counting the ancestors of the 2 countries above the godly kings and the ancestor of the East Extreme Domain, who rarely took action. No wonder the scattered cultivators each hide in the shadows, or even join forces established by the 3 alien races, Luo Feng mused in secret. With the guidance of those 3 alien races, the scattered cultivators were able to compete with the 2 ancient countries for resources. There was also a silver lining. Their biggest competitors were each other, the emperors and monarchs. This gave the scattered cultivators a chance to breathe. In the treasured land, infinite space. Above a vast and misty lake stood a small island, where an avatar of Luo Feng was cultivating. Ever since Morosa reached the second realm of Godly King, able to manifest the complete Great Tao of Destruction origin, Luo Feng's cultivation in the Great Tao of Destruction origin had also entered an eruption period. All his past accumulations were transforming. Whoosh! A dark chaotic hole appeared in the center of Luo Feng's palm, filled with an unbelievable level of resilience and density of life. Inside the hole, forces swirled as countless condensed dark blade light circulated and merged continuously. 5 lineages unite. Chaotic hole undying light. Luo Feng watched as a blade light, substantial in form, was born within the dark chaotic hole. The blade light's might was terrifying beyond belief, far more dreadful than the strongest move Luo Feng used against Morosa during their sparring when he wielded the blood shadow knife with 1/3 of a world life form's strength. The chaotic hole undying light has reached perfection. Luo Feng looked at the blade light forming within the hole in his palm, barely believing it. The first Godly King second realm secret technique I've conceived is actually from the life and death Tao branch. Yes. The chaotic whole undying light was a concept Luo Feng had fashioned long ago, originating from the Path of Destruction's heaven-splitting lineage, dark heaven lineage, mixed heaven lineage, then integrating origin of life and life spirituality from the great Tao of life and death, 5 major branches in total. With Luo Feng's realm's growing achievements, the integration and perfection of these 5 branches had been ongoing. Just moments ago, Luo Feng had unknowingly fused these 5 branches into this move, chaotic whole undying light, completely. The 24 forms and unity secret method he was pondering were theoretically the limit for Godly King First Realm to create. But now, the chaotic whole undying light was a fusion of 5 branches from 2 great Taos. Life, destruction, life and death. 3 great Taos. Yet it's the life and death Tao that I first created a Godly King second realm technique for, Luo Feng pondered with a hint of melancholy. Of course, creating a secret technique does not mean one has reached the second realm of Godly King. One must master the essence of Tao thoroughly to truly break through. Just as Emperor Guishu and Wuxin God King had occasionally created ultimate realm secret techniques by chance. But fully mastering the complete Great Tao was still far off. Nevertheless, as a move fully merging the 5 branches, it was already quite remarkable among the Godly King second realm. After all, the Great Tao of Life origin and the Great Tao of Destruction origin were comprised of 6 branches each. Even the techniques currently controlled by Morosa were not as profound as Luo Feng's chaotic whole undying light. Life and death. Luo Feng sat cross-legged on the grass, murmuring to himself as spirit light flickered in his mind. For the first time, with the conception of the Godly King Second Realm's life and death secret technique, Luo Feng's understanding of the Great Tao of life and death underwent a transformation. In this moment, various life and death Tao branches gradually started to take shape in the depths of Luo Feng's heart. Luo Feng had been in the infinite space treasure trove for over 2 centuries, and his understanding of the Great Tao of life and death was immensely profound. On the topic of the Great Tao of life and death, he had created 19 different secret techniques at the first realm of Godly King alone. He didn't care about the quantity of secret techniques, each one had been comprehended naturally by himself. When he enhanced the chaotic whole undying light to the second realm of godly king level this time, Luo Feng's accumulation finally underwent a qualitative transformation. One by one, branches of the great Tao of life and death emerged in his mind. Luo Feng meticulously contemplated and integrated them. 3 more days passed before Luo Feng finally stopped. I have comprehended 6 branches of the great Tao of life and death, but, clearly, it's not yet perfected. Luo Feng slightly furrowed his brow. It seems my accumulation is still insufficient to comprehend all branches. How many branches does an origin great Tao have? That was uncertain. For instance, the origin Tao of space has 9 major branches. Entry is relatively easy, but as one goes further, it becomes increasingly difficult. One must eventually merge the 9 branches into one to attain the ultimate realm. The time primordial Tao, with only 3 major branches, is extremely difficult to enter. But once someone becomes a godly king through this path, their strength is terrifying. In the infinite space treasure vault, Luo Feng once saw the perfect inheritance, temporal walker, which involves the fusion of time and space, forming an even more terrifying time-space Tao. Of course, the threshold for cultivation is unbelievably high. Life and destruction, these are 2 great Taos that exist within the supreme rules, each with 6 major branches. With these 2 as my foundation, I cast my own Tao of life and death. The Tao of life and death should have 9 major branches. Luo Feng now had 6 branches comprehended, with the remaining 3 vaguely taking shape. However, to thoroughly penetrate them, he still needed accumulation. The 6 branches I've comprehended are blood-dripping lineage, red sun lineage, annihilation lineage, eternal lineage, black smoke lineage, walker lineage. Having clearly understood these 6 branches, Luo Feng felt somewhat melancholic. After all, my abilities are limited. In the fusion of life and destruction, I discarded too many paths. Luo Feng was very clear about this. Life and destruction, each with their 6 major branches, could integrate some aspects from a few branches during the fusion process, resulting in certain possibilities. Therefore, the branches of the great Tao of life and death, the possibilities are numerous. Perhaps there are 30, 50, or even over 100 possibilities. For example, 36 branches? A total of 108 branches to fully interpret all the mysteries of life and destruction fusion. But exhausting all options is not something Luo Feng, as just a godly king, could accomplish. At this time, one must make choices. Perfection? Luo Feng still hasn't felt its limit. Discarding is a must. Discard the uninteresting ones, choose what you truly desire. Following the direction you've set, then confirm each branch afterward. By discarding a lot, I chose the core parts one wanted. Luo Feng thought, even so, it takes a full 9 major branches. Each branch is stronger than the life's 6 major branches or the 6 branches of destruction. The foundation is exceedingly profound. Sigh? Luo Feng sat cross-legged on this Lake Heart Island, now standing up to look around him. I've comprehended branches of the great Tao, yet infinite space has not awarded any reward points. Luo Feng speculated, could it be that it needs to be demonstrated? Infinite space, a treasure land, cannot probe the thoughts of every cultivator at every moment. Walker lineage. Luo Feng pointed casually. Buzz. Countless secret patterns emerged naturally, forming a dark humanoid shape. This dark human shadow seemed to contain endless might, yet all of it was condensed within this tiny figure. Every movement appeared capable of destroying heaven and earth. Merely with this one branch, it would already be considered a very strong benchmark in the first realm of Godly King. This dark human shadow was formed by countless secret patterns, which flowed and interpreted the mysteries of the Tao. Infinite space sensed all of this, and immediately information was transmitted to the mark on Luo Feng's palm. Trialist, Luo Feng from Land of Origin. Based on the 2 great Taos of life and destruction as the foundation, you've pioneered a new great Tao. Evaluation of the new great Tao, superior. Reward points 10,000 points. On this new great Tao, you've finally taken the first step. You must continue to work hard. Body of primal chaos realm, reaching the spiritual will of the ultimate realm of God King, evaluation of spiritual will, superior. Reward points 10,000 points. Your spiritual will is relatively excellent, please continue to maintain it after becoming a godly king. Total reward points 20,182.01 points. Luo Feng sensed this information, everything was as expected. The reward points for pioneering a great Dao branch, his master Emperor Chu had already told him. Let's try again. Luo Feng extended his hand to point again, and numerous Dao secret patterns converged, eventually coalescing into a drop of blood. This drop of blood, condensed by the Dao secret patterns, faintly contained an endless breath of life, yet it seemed incredibly heavy and even more difficult to shake. This is the blood-dripping lineage. A new great Dao only rewards points for the first Dao branch you comprehend. There are no points for subsequent branches. Earning these points is just too difficult, Luo Feng reflected in frustration. Dealing with the spiritual beings in infinite space alone, on the one hand, takes too long, and on the other hand, the main core areas have been occupied by the great powers. If I act alone, I can only target spiritual beings in remote locations. How many points can one earn from spiritual beings not occupied by the great powers? Therefore, the methods to obtain a large number of reward points still rely on pioneering great Daos and spiritual will. Opening a new branch of the great Dao is even more difficult than reaching the second realm of Godly King, Luo Feng secretly said. The accumulations along his paths of life and destruction were such that with a bit more research, he could quickly reach the second realm of Godly King. The Tao of life and death was the path Luo Feng had chosen during his time in the primordial cosmos, the one he selected from deep within his heart. Yet creating even one branch was so difficult. This demonstrates just how hard it is to gain reward points. Many ancient godly kings believe the value of infinite space is at the very bottom among all the treasure lands, which is understandable. With his talents, Luo Feng has only slightly more than 20,000 points to date. With such points, converted into the merit points of the two ancient countries as a guest elder, it would be only a few 100 million at most. Those ancient godly kings earn far fewer points than Luo Feng. The value of infinite space lies in the inexistent inheritances and treasures outside. Luo Feng immediately reviewed the infinite space treasure vault. The vault contained two types of resources, inheritances and treasures. Most ancient godly kings come to the infinite treasure land at great cost, all for the inheritance within. Here, one can find special grade inheritances and even perfect inheritances that are not available in the outside world. On the path of cultivation, the importance of inheritance is surely above that of treasures. With so few reward points, naturally, they should be used where they are most needed. Luo Feng had never bought any treasures before. The Godly King's second realm chapters of World Life Form and Chaotic Whole Beast Body both require 3,000 reward points. That's a total of 6,000 points which I need to reserve. With such a scarce amount of points, Luo Feng was only willing to set aside one special grade inheritance for both the paths of life and destruction. The ultimate chapters of a special grade inheritance were too expensive, he couldn't afford to read them for the time being. Let's check the treasures. Once exchanged, treasures in the infinite space can be teleported directly to the true body in the land of origin. Treasures information. Rank number 1 was the Heart's Desire flying boat, which required 20,000 points to exchange. It was a flying boat beyond Godly King level, stable and robust, unbreakable within the source world, capable of instant travel to any location within the source world. Unbreakable within the source world? Luo Feng found this very tempting. To think that one could even purchase a God King grade secret treasure with reward points from the infinite space. Such treasures could surely make even the emperors and monarchs of the two ancient countries envious. If I bought it, I wouldn't dare to use it, Luo Feng thought and moved on. The second ranked treasure was the Dao map, which required 20,000 points to exchange. The Dao map could deduce secret techniques suitable for oneself and analyze the great Dao to assist in cultivation, significantly improving the efficiency of comprehension. The weaker the strength, the better the assistive effects of the Dao map. It could even ease one's path to the peak of the second realm of Godly King. Danger reminder. to master a complete Great Tao still requires self-enlightenment, the Tao map cannot help in the slightest. And because one relies on the Tao map for early enlightenment, the difficulty of attaining a complete Great Tao eventually becomes extremely high. Please choose carefully. If you use it merely to deduce secret techniques suited for yourself, there will be no future troubles. The 9th rank treasure, a lotus heart seed, required 18,000 points to exchange. The lotus heart seed could grow a life lotus within one's internal universe, making the internal universe more stable and the physical body full of endless vitality, greatly enhancing physical strength. The flesh body and the Great Tao of life origin have a perfect affinity, significantly increasing the efficiency of cultivation, as if one were the favored child of the Great Tao of life. This lotus heart seed is a good item, Luo Feng thought covetously. Strengthening his world life form could naturally advance his strength further. More importantly, it could make him the favored child of the Great Tao of life. The only problem was the high price. Luo Feng couldn't bear to spend all 18,000 points in one go. The treasure, destruction scale, one piece required 12,000 points to exchange. Fusing the destruction scale into the body could transform one's flesh into the body of a destruction demon race, perfectly matching the Great Tao of destruction origin and greatly increasing cultivation efficiency, as if one were the favored child of the Great Tao of destruction origin. Danger reminder: 1. Fusing with the destruction scale will bring an onslaught of a killing will, and one spiritual will must reach the ultimate realm of God King to integrate successfully. 2. It is recommended to have an avatar before exchanging. If there is only one true body, transforming into the body of a destruction demon race will affect the cultivation of other Great Taos. Transform into the body of a destruction demon race. Luo Feng was tempted. He had an avatar, and his spiritual will fit the requirement. Of all the treasures he had seen, the Lotus Heart Seed and the Destruction Scale were the most appealing because both could aid in the cultivation of the Great Taos of life and destruction. The Lotus Heart Seed was more helpful and carried no dangers. Yet, the Destruction Scale was much cheaper. Become the favored child of the Great Tao of Destruction origin? I want to try what it feels like to be a favored child of the Tao. Luo Feng carefully reviewed all the treasure information and without further hesitation, decided on the Destruction Scale. Exchange. Luo Feng gritted his teeth. The hard-earned reward points, a full 12,000, were all spent at once. An invisible fluctuation descended quickly, and a destruction scale had already arrived at the quiet room in the Huyang City Lord's mansion, in Luo Feng's hands. Within a spatial layer of the Star Tower. Equivalent to a secret treasure beyond the level of a godly king. Luo Feng looked at the warm scale in his palm. In the infinite space treasure vault, the cheapest treasure beyond the level of a godly king was also about 12,500 merit points, almost no different from the scale of destruction. This scale. Luo Feng was patient, he didn't use it right away, instead he carefully observed. The scale was primarily black, with edges that gradually turned transparent and tinged with green. Magnified by billions of times, one could glimpse the mysterious secret patterns on the scale. Countless engraved secret patterns completely sealed the scale's aura. When Luo Feng's consciousness tried to touch it, upon contact with the scale, he felt an intensely terrifying murderous will. Kill, kill, kill. This terrifying will struck at Luo Feng's spirit. Only with the will of the ultimate realm of God King could one maintain clarity under such an assault. Just a single scale, and one that has been refined at that, still harbors such dreadful murderous will. Luo Feng was secretly alarmed. How terrifying must the life that was the source of this scale be? To be able to refine a scale, allowing the weaker godly kings to obtain the body of a destroyer clan demon? The strength of the refiner is also unfathomable, thought Luo Feng. The more he understood, the more he realized his own insignificance. Be it the scant information leaked from the special grade inheritance or items like the Scale of Destruction, all allowed Luo Feng a glimpse into the higher planes of the world. If Yuan can leave behind numerous treasure lands, then he can leave behind so much resources in these treasuries. Clearly, outside the source world, Yuan's status must be extremely high. Far surpassing the ancestors of the two great ancient countries, Luo Feng thought. Luo Feng carefully observed this scale of destruction for a full 3 days, recorded the part of the secret patterns he was able to observe, and only then began to truly integrate it into his body. His perfect divine body split off an avatar that contained 99% of his divine power reserve. The remaining small amount of the perfect divine body once again began to crazily absorb energy through the small universe, gradually recovering. I will transform this enormous avatar. Luo Feng held the black scale and pressed it directly onto his chest, where the black scale quickly merged into his skin. At the time of the exchange, Luo Feng had already received detailed instructions for its use. Kill. Destruction. The terrifying will of slaughter swept over his spirit, but Luo Feng's expression did not change, remaining calm as he observed the changes in his body. Once this scale of destruction merged into his skin, the hidden power naturally erupted, beginning to erode Luo Feng's entire body, causing his skin, flesh, and bones to naturally transform. The erosion was incredibly fast, and even the energy reserves of this avatar of Luo Feng, which were more plentiful than those of a world life form, could only hold out for little more than 10 breaths before the body was naturally reformed. At the instant the transformation was successful, the scale of destruction naturally disintegrated, and the original murderous will dissipated, leaving no further effect. Even the most minute components of the body have been altered. Luo Feng closely examined this Destroyer Clan Demon avatar. This enormous body was covered with scales similar to the scale of destruction, covering Luo Feng's face as well, but these scales were a pale blue, and their aura was much weaker than that of the scale of destruction. His eyes glowed golden, a tail naturally grew out, and 6 horns sprouted naturally from his head. These 6 horns bore some resemblance to one aspect of the great Tao of destruction origin. This Destroyer Clan Demon avatar is average in strength, barely meeting the threshold of the second realm of godly kings even after I transformed it using a sufficiently large godly body. It's far inferior to the world life form avatar. Luo Feng shook his head lightly. But it truly is the favored child of the great Tao of destruction origin. Luo Feng extended his right claw and waved it lightly. Whoosh! He could easily manipulate the mysteries of the great Tao of destruction origin. Luo Feng felt as if his body were a part of the great Tao of destruction origin itself, able to use his body to sense and understand the great Tao of destruction origin. Of course, this body's sensitivity to other great Taos was rather vague. I have taken the 5-colored treasure medicine before. The 5-colored treasure medicine makes both the body and spirit resonate with the great Tao of destruction origin, continuing for roughly 3 eras. While the scale of destruction only transforms the body, but it does not affect the spirit. Yet, the compatibility of the body is stronger than that of the 5-colored treasure medicine. In terms of overall effect, the scale of destruction can reach about 70 to 80% of the 5-colored treasure medicine, thought Luo Feng. Most importantly, this state is permanent. Luo Feng was very pleased with this state. A dose of the 5-colored treasure medicine was valued at 10 million merit points. The body of the Destroyer Clan Demon could maintain about 70 to 80% of the 5-colored treasure medicine state permanently, and its value was self-evident. My cultivation in the Great Tao of Destruction origin is going to completely surpass that of the Great Tao of Life origin, realized Luo Feng. Ever since Morosa was able to exhibit a complete path of destruction, the speed of cultivation along both paths was quite similar. But now, the speed of progress in the Great Tao of Destruction origin had accelerated. In the Infinite Space Treasure Vault, there was also the Lotus Heart Seed that could make one a favored child of the Great Tao of Life origin, but it was too expensive. Time passed, era by era. Though he had become a favored child of the Great Tao of Destruction origin, he still needed time to accumulate his own strength. Compared to the ancient existences of the land of origin, Luo Feng was much too young. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In one of the deep spaces of the dream domain. Here the darkness was unfathomable, countless tunnel passages formed a labyrinth-like world. Within one of these caves, Luo Feng transformed into a large stone, cultivating through the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique. Yuan's inherited will, Lai Yuan technique, of which the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique that cultivated will, showed increasing effects as Luo Feng's Great Tao of Destruction origin made progress. Rumble tilde tilde tilde, in the center of the endless chaos hole, Luo Feng's spirit had already transformed into a vague human silhouette which vaguely resembled his appearance. The spirit silhouette sat cross-legged, resisting the continuous infiltration and erosion of the dream domain, as well as the wear from the great destruction heart-refining method. I have been in the dream domain for over 150 eras, and I feel my spirit continuously transforming, yet its strength will forever fail to break through the bottleneck of the ultimate realm of God King. Luo Feng found this path exceedingly arduous. Cultivation in the dream domain was torturous. Luo Feng always pushed his limits, cultivating until he completely succumbed, falling into the dreamscapes of the dream domain. Of course, once he entered the dream, he would stop the great destruction heart-refining method, and he would quickly awaken. Over 150 eras, Luo Feng had succumbed dozens of times. The advancement of the Great Tao and the pioneering of new Great Taos, these enhanced Luo Feng's understanding of the Tao, and his spiritual will naturally improved. The infinite space obliterated spiritual beings time and again, which benefited the spirit as well. The Great Destruction heart-refining technique was consistently upheld, and after gaining the Demon Clan avatar of destruction, the effects were even more pronounced. I can feel myself transforming, yet I have not broken through. It's no wonder that on the land of origin, apart from Emperor Ming, others only transcend the godly king level after fully understanding a complete origin Great Tao. Luo Feng admired Emperor Ming at this moment. Emperor Ming, in terms of soul foundation, definitely couldn't compare to his perfect divine body. Yet he managed to transcend godly king level in his spiritual will before understanding the complete Great Tao. Of course, as an imperial clan god king of the Flame Wind ancient country, Emperor Ming, once he ascended, was too dazzling, and the resources he received were definitely far more than Luo Feng's own. What a freestanding godly king like him received was probably just a fraction of what two major imperial clan cores had. Bracing against the profound intrusions of the dream domain and the dual refinement of the great destruction heart-refining technique, Luo Feng was still able to multitask, just that under such conditions he could not focus too much on cultivation. As time went on, Luo Feng gradually grew more exhausted, even unable to multitask, and all his avatars in the outside world temporarily went into seclusion. Luo Feng didn't stop but kept persevering, until the very limit, until he sank into the dream. During the past 150 eras, Luo Feng had sunk into dreams dozens of times, and he would reflect upon each awakening. Most of the dreams, Luo Feng would forget, while a small part he managed to recall. The parts he remembered were very chaotic, and some were even contradictory. But there were some scenes that Luo Feng felt were far beyond the scope of the source world. The ancestor summons you. A voice rang out. Luo Feng forgot who he was. At this moment, he was enormous in stature, seemingly possessing unfathomable power. Yet, he stood there with utmost respect, patiently waiting. I've made great merit points this time, even receiving a summons from the ancestor. I wonder how the ancestor will reward me. Emotions of joy bubbled up within him. When will the ancestor summon me again? I've been waiting so long. An emotion of weariness surfaced. How will the ancestor punish me? A feeling of fear began to grow. The dreamscape was incredibly chaotic, as if the scenes of visiting the ancestor had happened many times, and he seemed to be constantly awaiting a summon from the ancestor. Finally, a giant eye appeared. Luo Feng looked at this huge eye with utmost respect. Ancestor. This so-called ancestor was shrouded and veiled by endless great Taos. In the dream, Luo Feng couldn't see its true form, seeing only that enormous eye which seemed to be etched into Luo Feng's soul, instilling fear in him without any thought of resistance. Tilde tilde tilde, the entire dreamscape began to tremble. Having stopped the great destruction heart-refining technique, Luo Feng's spiritual will was already struggling to break free from the dream. In the instant he saw the giant eye, Luo Feng's spiritual will instinctively resisted fiercely, causing the entire dreamscape to start to fragment and shatter. Whoosh! It completely shattered, and everything vanished. Luo Feng regained consciousness. Luo Feng revealed his true appearance, his eyes filled with horror. Why is this memory so clear this time? In the past, most of what he saw in the dreams would be forgotten, and the few memories that remained would not have any impact. But this time, that eye? Luo Feng still remembered it after waking up. Although it had blurred somewhat, that eye still filled Luo Feng's heart with endless fear. Even his spiritual will couldn't suppress this sense of dread. Fear, trembling with terror. Uncontrollable. Only thoughts of fear and submission. How could this be? Luo Feng immediately dissipated that avatar, self-annihilating. In Huyang City, within the Star Tower. Luo Feng's perfect divine body, demon clan avatar of destruction, and world life form avatar, all showed expressions of shock and anger. Unable to forget, unable to obliterate. Luo Feng attempted to erase that memory, but he couldn't. This segment of memory had already permeated and fused into his entire soul, even if he destroyed all memory and left his brain a blank slate. This memory would still emerge. Erase it. Luo Feng employed the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique, and the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique scrubbed away the stray thoughts from his mind, the fears within. That's better. He continued to maintain the Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique. As soon as thoughts of fear or submission arose, they were obliterated, and Luo Feng felt his spirit become much more serene and ethereal. Yet it remains rooted in the soul, acknowledged Luo Feng, realizing the issue. The Great Destruction Heart Refining Technique could only scour away all stray thoughts, making the spirit sufficiently ethereal. But it could not destroy the root. I have heard that when cultivating the primordial bloodline, the wills remaining within the primordial bloodline will contaminate the spirit, even if one undergoes reincarnation like Di Fu, where there is no will contamination after reincarnation. This memory contamination still exists. Memory contamination can only be controlled by oneself. It is difficult to eradicate. Memory contamination is less severe than will contamination. But it is a contamination all the same. Di Fu had carried it all along. And now, Luo Feng too bore the weight of memory contamination. This episode is end here.